Hello and welcome to this episode of interview. Now, today we have a very special guest, a change maker, also an activist, if one can say that. She is Palak Sharma. She has won an award, Diana Award, Princess for Diana Award recently for a superb work in terms of implementation of sustainable development goals in India. Now, she left a career in United Kingdom and came back to India to help and work around sustainable development goals and challenges and implementation of that by 2030. And she runs an organization called Green Governance Initiative, if I'm not wrong. Thank you so much, Palak, for doing this conversation and interview with us. Now, please tell us, how did you come up with an idea? Like, what was the motivation and inspiration to do something like this? That you left a career in UK and then you are doing something in India.
Thank you so much, Shivam. Firstly, for having me here. It's a great work that you're doing yourself. Um, so I wouldn't say that I. So of course, it's not a decision that I just took and thought that okay, I'm so selfless. I'll just go back and do something for my country. I wouldn't term myself as a patriot in that sense. But I believe that I went to study social policy in the London School of Economics.
Yeah.
So my motivation to do it was because let's go a bit in the past when I was interning with a member of parliament. I realized while working there that so many young people like me who have the flair to go and be a part of governance cannot do it very often because politics in India is looked at like a very shady place, especially for girls. It's not very safe. Like my parents are very skeptic about me interning there, and
Don't
I
join
agree to
politics.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not exactly joining in that sense, but then even if you're a part of the office, there's a certain shady sense that
Yeah.
adults have around it. So young people have a lot of barriers, and then secondly, you cannot travel every time. So if you want to work with someone in Delhi, you cannot travel to work with them there. And I also realized while working with this member of parliament that SDGs was something that was so diverse and so vast that any one of us could, contribute in some way to it. So that's when I decided to go and study social policy to see how people get involved in policy making and governance. And while I was there, I just experimented with giving the UK civil services exam, got into it, then decided to not take it up because the reason why I went there was specifically to learn social policy in context with India and to implement it here. It was not my patriotism as such, but it was the basic initial idea that I had, that why I need to study social policy, and I wanted to execute it first before going and taking some lucrative career somewhere else. So I thought it's a better way to just experiment the social policy that I have learned and how it can play out in relation to SDGs in India.
Okay. Can you tell us a bit about your work, the kind of work that you are doing, and how are you connecting these youngsters and youths in India regarding the implementation of those sustainable development goals at a grassroots level?
Sure. So how we began was that we started training people between the age of 14 to 25 years around what SDGs are. We connected them to actual change makers on the ground, people who were working in Rajasthan on Swachh Bharat mission, people who were working on Model Gaon in Uttar Pradesh. Then we also brought in case studies. We told them about how French people, basic people living in cities, were helping the homeless of the city through small initiatives, and all of them were contributing to sustainable development goals in some or the other ways. So this is what we drew towards them. We made a map of how it looks like to work on SDG and how it could be something that could be as tiny as just, helping a child in your colony, or how it could be as large as initiating a startup on something related to any of the 17 goals. So once this happened, once they were trained, we taught them like how you can, think about small ideas, how you can research around SDGs. And then we selected the top 50 ideas and connected them to members of parliament. So we have 10 members of parliament who work with us and look at these ideas. So we submitted all of them to these members of parliament. Because of the COVID-19 thing and everything going haywire, they couldn't exactly pay a lot of attention to each and every idea, but then they were willing to listen to these young people. So these 50 people interned with these members of parliament and tried to, work around what policies are already going on the sustainable development goals. So that was the whole program. And the basic thing that we kept in mind was to push the youth in governance, especially when it comes to implement the sustainable development goals in India.
Okay. So what have been your some of the major projects in terms of implementation in India so far?
Right. So, firstly, when I began GGI, my focus was to look on like individual, areas where things could be changed. So we initially began with Breathe Jodhpur, because Jodhpur comes in WHO's 15 most polluted cities. So we began a project there with a member of parliament, Gajendra Singh Shekhawat ji, and we started working on, installing air purifiers wherever possible in public spaces, things that could be done to implement it. So we had experts who came from institutes like TERI, and they helped us in figuring out what could be the small, minute changes we could make to, increase the breathability index of Jodhpur. So that was the initial project that we did. And then, because this was not exactly my area of expertise, we thought we'd connect young people who were into this already. So we were able to get in a lot of volunteers to work in this. Secondly, the second project, which was, in my opinion, the most connecting project that I did, was in Ladakh. So we set up remote classrooms there with the help of the member of parliament, Jamia, and we tried to connect the students who were in the crucial stage of their career, like 10th standard and 12th standard, with teachers in Delhi. So they could teach these young ones around, important scientific things. So if they wanted a career in STEM, they had to clear examinations which are competitive in nature. So these people from Delhi used to teach these students in Ladakh, and there was a mentor appointed who used to look into it. It was a very successful initiative. It was covered by Republic TV also. So we found that that was something, because I was already working in education, especially tech education through One Academy. So this felt like something which could be done, and it was pretty successful. So I think that was one of the most highlighted projects that we did.
So you have created a network itself of mentors, teachers, and youngsters. What are the major challenges that you have so far faced in terms of implementation of those 17 sustainable development goals, guidelines and those areas? What are the major challenges that you have personally and your team has faced? Because it's not easy. I mean, there's bureaucracy, there's so many things involved. What are those challenges that you have faced?
Definitely, that's very, very true. Because I get asked this question a lot, that how do you connect, how do you network?
Exactly.
So the luckiest thing that we had was that because I started working at this members of parliament's office from Jodhpur in my second year of undergrad, that was I think in 2016 and 17. So it was easier for me to start out really early. So I had a network of people who knew people, and it was like this that I majorly moved ahead. And one of our co-founders is the additional PS to Minister of Jal Shakti. So he connects us to a lot of people, and we try to get things done. He's not a minister, so he doesn't have any influence directly, but then he knows people. So we go and we propose, and it works out like that. This is the basic way we work. But one major challenge is that when you go for capacity building, that's what we do and what we call that we try to build capacity in young people to work on SDGs. What usually happens is that there's no funding as such, because it's just looked at something. Okay, you're just telling people about it, right? You're just telling them that this is SDG. They could probably go to a website. Exactly. Why are you spending? But then there's a lot of operational cost involved, and we also don't want to bring in speakers who are already doing so much, and then we just bring in those people and tell them to give it for free, just these 2 hours and speak for free. And we don't want to exploit people, because this is their work that they're speaking about, and they're already being activists and being change makers. So we don't want them to take a free advantage of it. But unfortunately we have to a lot of times, because funding is not so easy in this sector. Especially SDGs have a lot of funding opportunities, but in India it's like a bit restricted, and there are already a lot of avenues who are taking up the funding, especially when it comes to tech and everything. So it just comes like even tertiary, not even secondary. It's a tertiary thing now, that what is capacity building, why do we care? So that's one major challenge I have faced personally.
Mm-hmm. We're talking about governance, politics, and policy, specifically in context of young minds of this country. And the situation in this country, like parents don't want their kids to go in this area. most of the times even young people don't want to go because this is not that lucrative career option. Obviously you have to give so much of energy, time and hard work initially, then if something can happen. Now how difficult is it for you to convince people and youngsters to come and work in this area in terms of policies, governance, politics? How do you convince them? I mean, plus they're at a tender age. They have so many options. Why should they come and work? So how difficult is this area of convincing them in terms of policies, politics, and governance?
In this case, I'd say that I'm very lucky that I have always found people who are enthusiastic about bringing about change.
Mm-hmm.
So there are always people who want to create some social impact. Even right now, I was just talking to a person I usually mentor, and he was saying that maybe I want to start my own initiative and I want to work on this and I want to work on that. So I would say luckily that I always find people who tend to have this kind of flair inside them to contribute.
There's
but
a
I
genuine
understand
interest.
what you're trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because so what we do is we don't reach out to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
We just keep ourselves open. If you are someone who wants to intervene into the public policy scenario, and I think public policy is actually rising up as a very good career option these days, especially if you look at humanities stream, a lot of people are taking that up. So I think when students and when especially they are in the process of completing their bachelor's, and when they find that we want to go for a master's and we want to do something for the nation, but then we don't want to get into politics, we don't want to get our hands dirty, this is the safest way that they can do it. This is the safest way to do it, because you're just someone who's outside and you're still trying to influence things on the inside. So I think that's a great job that they can do, being on the outside and not getting into the shady plot.
How many people are there like in your team as of now? I mean, in terms of network, like how many people are there in your network who are doing changing or impact on the ground level?
Right. So we have around 3,500 young people who are connected to that.
Now that's a huge number.
Yeah. So we are actually very lucky that all of them have been doing something of their own all the time. Only yesterday I was talking to all of them and saying that maybe if you do something, you want to highlight your work, so just send it to us right away and we'll try to put it out and project it to a greater screen, because all of them are doing something or the other, all of them. So one of them has started her own journal, and she gets into developmental policy related issues, and she invites people to write on it, and it's really doing good. One of them is working on the startups which are working on sustainability. So she's trying to curate how many of them are doing this kind of work in India and what kind of work it is. So it's amazing what they do.
So your network is not just so your network is not just about sustainable development goals, but also giving a direction to youths in a way, because not most of them are working, as you said, in a sustainable development goal.
Yeah, we want them to realize that there is a thing called sustainable development goals, and whatever step you take next in your life, or whatever steps you see people around you taking in their lives, make sure that it adhere to any of these 17 goals. Make sure that there is some kind of tinge that, okay, this is something that needs to be happening in India by 2030. So maybe if I'm going into, probably taking an MBA as my next step, let me get into a company where I think sustainability would be appreciated and SDGs would be, held up. So that's the kind of thing that we try to bring about.
Last question. What is your message to anyone who looks up to you and your organization? Not just to them the one who looks up to you, but also to youngsters of this country, to youths, people of our age, in which direction they can go. How should they move? For example, if they want to do something, they want to do something for sustainable development goal or any humanitarian issue or any such social cause. Can they become a change maker like Palak Sharma, or is it too difficult?
Not at all. I mean, you can be someone, I mean, my name would just be like a small name before everything that young people could do. Because I think, this is the best time to get into social impact, because there are too many opportunities for you. You have summits happening all around the world. You have conferences happening all around the world. And luckily, you can access them online now. So it's super easy. All you have to do is network around and find things. Secondly, network. Let me just pick it up from there. Network is the most important thing. If you are, let's say, below 25 and you feel that, right now I don't feel prepared for doing anything, but eventually I might try to do it, then just build those years in creating a network for you of people who can help you eventually when you try to start something up. And thirdly, I'm actually writing a similar blog for London School of Economics on how can you be a change maker. So I'll just steal one point from there.
Yeah.
That it's very difficult. It's going to be a bit long. It's very difficult to narrow down where you want to work in. So when I was, I think 17 or 18, I was volunteering at multiple places because I wanted to create something. I wanted to change something, but I didn't know what. I didn't know, like, did I want to work for education? Did I want to work for sanitation? Did I want to work for, environment, climate change? So it's too much. Right. So, if you're under whatever age, I'm not going to put a number on it, wherever you are, whatever age you are, explore. Try to work out every possibility wherever you can, if your time permits, if your finances permit, and then try to find what your calling is. My calling was capacity building. I realized I enjoyed the most when I, talked to people, when I had interpersonal communications and I convinced people to do something. So I went to this one. I think my turning point was when I used to work with this one kid. It was a digital library kind of thing in rural Kanpur. So we used to have a call every weekday, and I used to teach her basic arithmetic and simple things. And she cleared the Navodaya entrance exam through everything that we did. So it was a huge feat for her family because she was the first girl who was going out. And I think we have been in touch since then. She has grown up and she's in the 12th standard right now, and it's great to look at her and do everything. But I realized at that point that I was the happiest when I talked with people, when I convinced them to do something, when I,
that satisfaction of helping people,
when I probably coerced them to do something. Exactly. So I think your satisfaction might come from any particular way. There doesn't have to be like a single thing. And secondly, you don't always have to begin your own organization or your own initiative. There are too many things happening. You can just go out and contribute. If your family situation, if your personal, mental, emotional situation doesn't allow you to begin something huge, the best way to do is start with small number of people. Even if you impact 3 people, you are a change maker.
So start where you are with what you have.
Yeah. I think that's the best way to begin. If you're in college, start with NSS. If you're in school, start with your, people around you, your family. If you're elder, there's so much.
So, okay, if you could just say in one line, what will it take to be a change maker for youngsters in India?
I think it'll just take the right direction and the right figuring out. So once you've figured it out where you want to go, it's all your own way, and you can carve it on your own, actually.
Thank you so much, Palak. Thank you so much.
No worries.
Okay,
Pleasure to be here.
Okay, so now we'll stop. Just give me 1 second.